Hi. So tell us what you thought about the Acura MDX boards when they came to you.
After seeing the boards, kind of the first thought for me right off was, basically I wasn't sure exactly the best way to do it. So it felt like rather than go, pitch and then go down a path, one direction or another, I felt like it would really it'd be instrumental in the whole conceptualizing process to do a test.
What were the early discussions with the agency in terms of your approach?
One thing that was very clear from that call with them, the first call, was that we didn't want it to be too violent, but at the same time, it shouldn't just fall completely into the world of dance, either. It's like finding a balance between those two things.
What made you decide to work with stunt people rather than dancers?
Because what we were trying to portray is that inherent violence of a car collision, right? That was what what we were going after. I think I felt like start with that and then let the effect of the slow motion kind of turn that into more of a study of human motion, and in that way it could be like dance. But since that was my objective, to start with it in that direction, it seemed better to go to stunt performers. The first call I made was to Darren Prescott, who was a rigger and coordinator on Where the Wild Things Are, and we did a lot of wire work on that movie. And what became apparent right off the bat was the more experienced the stunt performers were with wire work, the more they had to unlearn a little bit of what they're used to doing. They tended to kind of arrange their body in a more organized way, right? Arms and legs, and it really made all the difference when we kind of got to a place where they weren't doing that. They were more just kind of letting their bodies fall limp and then letting the pull and the inertia of that pull and the velocity then manipulate their limbs,
In real time, was the movement violent?
Oh yeah, because in real time, the stunt performers were traveling anywhere from 15 to 25 feet.
What was the time frame of each stunt pull?
A millisecond, really, less than a second. They would travel that distance and then hit really hard into a crash pad. But, on screen time, that was being stretched out to like an 8-second sequence. You take the idea of what happens to a body in the midst of a car collision and slow it down to a point to where it's this study really of human motion. And at that point, can you find grace in that somehow? And I think it's that grace of the human body moving that kind of draws you in. And then when you realize, with the copy at the end of the spot, that what you've seen is like what a body would undergo in the midst of a high-speed collision or impact, I think it's it's the contrast of those two things that's very impactful.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.